Life is just a giant game that we play. While we all have a higher purpose, like helping other people, which I'm totally going to talk about today, we also have a purpose to just experience life and have fun. And the more we say yes to life, the more life says yes to us. Life is our playground. My wedding, or anyone's wedding, if you've ever planned a wedding, is a perfect little microcosm of the macrocosm. That's just like a little experiment within the experiment, like a mini game in Mario Party. I got married June 26, 2021, and I was a COVID bride. Our wedding was supposed to be June 2020. We had to push it back. We had to cut the guest list. We had it all outside. For the wedding, there were for sure a lot of things that I created, but I needed the help of the universe to tie it all together. Most videos that have like 7 things I manifest or whatever might have a bonus one at the end, but I'm gonna give you my bonus one right now. So before we even get started, this is the most important thing of all the things, and it is that the intention with which you do everything is the result you're going to get. So if I do things with joy and excitement and love, the end result that I will always receive is joy and excitement and love. Manifesting is all about transmuting energy with intention, desire, and focus. So what I wanted to manifest, the number one thing that I wanted to manifest for my wedding is joy for everyone there. Like I said, it was after COVID. This was the first event that people had gone to for a lot of our friends and family. This was the first time they left their house, and now they're driving to multiple states away and going to a giant party. This touched me so much that everyone was willing to do this. I wanted to really put on a wonderful event for the guests. I kept returning to my why. Why did we want to have this wedding? And it was for us, yes, and celebrate our love. It's your wedding, and never do anything that makes you uncomfortable. If the energy with which you're doing it is out of obligation to make someone happy, that's not the same as out of joy to make someone happy, because it makes you happy to think of them happy. That's very different than, well, I'll feel worse if I don't follow what they want and I feel like I'm being forced to. That's a different energy with which you're planning your wedding. Yes, the wedding is for us, and all decisions were 100% ours, and I'm gonna dive into that. One of my main intentions was, we're having this wedding to have a giant party for all of our friends and family. It's selfish to say, oh, and it's only for me, and it's all about me, and you guys had to put in all this travel time, spend all this money on hotels and outfits and gifts, and come all the way up here, and then I'm just gonna have a giant celebration about me. It's about us. It's about all of us. And this is the intention with which I bring to my group programs, my videos. I want to make your life better. That is the whole purpose of everything I do. And my wedding was really no different. So a huge intention of mine was, how do I make the guests happy? How do I bring the most fun and excitement to all of the guests? And this was the energy with which I brought every decision I made for the wedding. How do I make the most fun, joyful event possible for these people? And that is 100% the result I got. The wedding we ended up having was absolutely perfect. Everything went perfect, and the things that didn't work themselves out or turned out even better than I could have ever planned myself. I'm gonna dive into 7 specific things I manifested, but I truly believe that overall the energy with which I put forth all of the planning is the energy with which I got from the event. I've seen a lot of friends, a lot of family, when they're planning their wedding, which you chose to have a wedding. You chose it on purpose to have a fun, beautiful, awesome event. Yet the whole year planning the wedding is this stressful thing, and they let themselves get so caught up in these details that honestly don't even matter in the grand scheme. And my whole commitment was to not become that bride, because I believe if that's the intention with which you plan your wedding, that's the energy with which you'll get out. Because it is a lot. It's a lot of planning, it's a lot of logistics, it's a lot of working with other people, and if you've ever worked with other people, you know that there's complications involved. But anytime things got stressful, I always just went back to how lucky I am, how blessed I am to be marrying the partner of my dreams, how much it touched my heart that family members I haven't spoken to in years were willing to put in all this effort for me. I got so much support constantly from everyone around me, and I know not everyone's friends and family are like that, and I couldn't help but feel the true energy of our wedding was, I was just so lucky and so blessed and so thankful. So anytime I let myself get caught up in the nuances of planning, I took time to return to why we're doing this, how amazing the wedding's going to be. And I truly believe that if I did absolutely nothing else and I only did that, the whole entire wedding would turn magical, because that's the energy with which I was putting forth. But let's dive into the details. If you have planned a wedding, or if you're planning a wedding in the future, if you're planning one right now, you gotta do the details, you gotta do the stuff. So I want to teach you about 7 things specifically that I manifested, so hopefully they can help you plan. The first thing that I manifested, this one is near and dear to my heart, because I just know that I did this. I don't know if that sounds crazy, but I know for a fact in my bones this was me. And it was the weather. So we had a fully outdoor wedding. We got married at this, it's like a public farm, it's a public park. They have gardens, they have farm animals, they help underprivileged children, they have summer school programs. When we were looking for a venue, I was so fed up with the wedding industry because it all felt so commercial to me. And in hindsight, nothing wrong with that. It would have made planning a lot of these details a lot easier if you just go to a one-stop shop. So if that's your vibe, more power to you. But my vibe was, I didn't want to spend a ton of money on a venue, and I didn't want to pick a venue that I didn't really feel any meaning to, and it just felt like cookie cutter. I wanted a venue that was really us and would make the most enjoyable time for the guests. So this place was the literal cheapest place we found, first of all, and it was $2,000. So wedding venues in Connecticut are expensive, and it came with pretty much nothing. But we went with it because it made me feel happy to know that our $2,000 wasn't just supporting the wedding industry, but it was supporting these programs that this farm had for these children. So we were gonna have the ceremony there outside, and they did have like a pavilion, but it wasn't big enough for all our guests, so we needed to buy a tent, and this was all outside. This is a school, like I told you, so they do have a classroom, but it looks like a classroom. And it has like very small chairs. Like if you go there on like a Tuesday, it has like very, very small chairs for like preschoolers. Like it's a classroom and it looks like one. So I liked that in case of an emergency, if there was a thunderstorm, if that was what God wanted to do for my wedding and the universe was like, this will teach you a lesson, then so be it. I was willing to have it happen. We had an indoor space if we needed to do that. But I really, really didn't want to do that option. It was not allowed to rain. I just said, no, no universe, no rain, please. Everything else could be planned to a T. The decorations, the outfits, the schedule, the signs, literally everything could be planned except the weather. So this was the thing I spent like so much of my energy on. This is how I manifested the weather. Leading up to the wedding, I put my energy in acting as if. I pictured myself at the altar. I was standing like this, so I pictured my husband standing here, the audience like over here, and I just let myself really get in the moment of like being in the ceremony. First, I invited in the feelings of love. I invited in the feelings of, I am so lucky to have found the most perfect partner that I get to marry on this day. I'm so blessed that all of these friends and family were able and willing to come to celebrate us for a whole weekend. This means so much to me, and I just soaked in the love until I could feel it in my body. I then felt like the sun shining on me. So, I felt myself out the altar. Our ceremony was going to be at 4, so I felt like the 4 o'clock sun. This was June 26th, so it's like the 5th longest day of the year. And I wanted it to be sunny, and then like a cool breeze would blow through. So I felt the sunshine on my arms. I felt the sun on my face. I felt the glow of the sun on the audience. I saw the sun shining on my husband. I felt the warmth in my body. And I let these feelings wash over me. I thanked the universe. Thank you for the sun. Thank you for the sun. I pictured the sun in my mind. And then I would picture a cool breeze blowing over everyone so we didn't get too hot, I'd journal about this. I'd visualize it every day. I'd get in the intention. There was literally one day, it was pretty close to the wedding, and my in-laws were asking a lot of questions about like, well, what if it rains? What do we do if it rains? What if we do if it rains? And I just said like, I have that covered and I don't want to talk about it. And I just straight up shut that conversation down, because I did have plans. If it rained, we'd put like trash bags on the hay bales if we knew it was going to rain. If it really, really rains, we'd go inside. Like there were plans in place, but I didn't really want to dwell on those options, especially out of fear. I knew that energy was just fear-based, and I think it's a different energy to be prepared and consider different realities versus living in that fear-based energy and acting as if that's a real possibility. So we had backup plans, but I put like literally 99.99% of my energy on the sun. So fast forward to the day of the wedding, we did our first look outside and it was really beautiful. It was a little humid, but it was cloudy, which made for amazing photos on the top of this hill. At the end of our photos, it had been about an hour. So we were driving down to the ceremony on this tractor and it started getting real cloudy, like really dark. Like the clouds were like black and I was like, oh no. Like the ceremony was gonna start in 20 minutes and I'm like, this is it. This is the moment of truth. And I didn't even worry about it because at that point, I also had the intention for the wedding to surrender. So up to that point, I planned everything in extreme detail. I planned every little thing as much as I possibly could with the intention of here's my plans, I'm doing as best as I can, and then I'm absolutely gonna let go. And at my wedding, I'm just gonna let go. Everything that happens, happens. I did my best and it's in the universe's hands. And that's how I co-create with the universe, just stepping into that I want it this way, but I'm willing to trust you. You know better than me, you see the big picture. So whatever happens on the day is gonna be perfect. The ceremony happens, it's beautiful, we walked down the aisle, perfect. My husband starts giving his vows during the ceremony, and what do you know? That's the exact moment it started to rain. That's the exact moment I had been picturing in my head this whole time, by the way. At first it was just a little bit of sprinkles, and then it turned a little more sprinkles, to the point where I was thinking in my mind, oh my God, the sky might just tear open. You know how rain like starts and then like opens up fully? I was like, oh my God, the sky might absolutely tear open right now and just dump on everyone. If the sky opens up right now, do we all just book it or do we just pretend nothing's happening? Like, what do we do? And then I was like, Kelsey, this is your time to shine. This is what you've been practicing this whole time. I shifted out of that fear-based mindset. I cleared those thoughts. I focused on the literal words that my husband was speaking to me at that moment. He was saying his vows, and I just started chanting in my head in the background, sun, 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 sun. And I stepped it, you know, at this point I practiced the manifestation so many times, my body knew exactly what to do. So I stepped right into the manifestation that I had been doing this whole time. I felt the sun on my skin. I felt the sun shining on the audience. I felt the sun shining on us. And I felt the love and the joy and the abundance. My body knew what to do. And right when I stepped into these feelings, what do you know? The rain stopped. After that, the sky completely cleared up. It was a beautiful sunny night. It was like mid-70s. The outside was perfect weather. So many people came up to me and said the weather is absolutely perfect. And people about the rain, remember it was like humid before. So the rain was actually just like, in the grand scheme, it rained for maybe like 30 seconds to a minute. And it was kind of just like a cool down for everyone. It was just like the mist. It got rid of the humidity. The clouds passed. Perfect after that. And that is the manifestation I'm most proud of. And I hope what you're getting from this is one, literally how to manifest things at your wedding, but two, how to manifest anything ever in your life. I hope you're learning the lesson like, okay, I can apply this method. I can live as if I can feel the feelings in my body about anything that you want. So the second thing that I manifested was my wedding dress. I did not care about my dress. I looked online and I was trying to find just the cheapest dress possible. Picked a few cute ones, but they were like, okay. You know, like I said at the beginning, life is a giant game. We're here to experience all of the things. I was only gonna be a bride once, and why not do the whole dress shopping thing? I had zero excitement for that. I did not want to do it. I was kind of dreading it, but I felt like it's an experience to have. I'm also, you know, my mom's only daughter, so I didn't want to like take that experience away from her. And so I went with my mom and my maid of honor to like a few wedding dress boutiques, and I had like I just felt like I was going through the motions that day. I don't know, but if any of you have been wedding dress shopping, there's something about those boutiques and the dresses, and I absolutely had that moment that everyone is hoping for, which was wow, this dress is perfect and I can't not have it and I need it. The dress was way over budget. My other dresses that I had been looking at were like $99 and this one was about $1,500. And I was so crazy about sticking to the budget that I was like, I refuse to spend that. But I was also like, but maybe I should spend it because I love this dress. And I was like, oh my God, what do I do? And in the boutique, so I tried on this dress, fell absolutely in love. But that was like the store model. They weren't allowed to sell or something. I don't really remember, but they couldn't give me that one. But the only model they had that I could buy was in like a cream or ivory, not white. I think I'm this like, you know, enlightened person above the pettiness of a wedding dress. You only wear it once, but I'm like, no, I have to have that dress. When the salesperson wasn't looking, I went over to the dress and I was snapping photos of everything. I didn't know how to like identify this dress, so I was getting like the designer, the serial number, the brand style, just any number or identifying factor I could find. And I'm like, I'm getting it used. I was really big on that because you only wear the dress once. So I'm like, I'll just buy it from someone. Someone somewhere has to be selling this dress. I spent hours that night, probably like 8 hours. Like my eyes were burning, my tears are like falling down my face. I like can't keep them open because I was hunting for this dress. I did all of this with the intention of, I feel so beautiful and gorgeous in this dress and it makes me feel actually magical. I really desire to wear this, so I'm gonna make it happen. Even though I was working really hard to get the dress, it wasn't stressful. Like I was gonna have a horrible day if I didn't get the dress. It wasn't, but also not getting the dress just wasn't an option. I just believed I would get it. I just knew I would get it. I just trusted the universe. I had to have that dress, so I would. And I was excited about it, and that was it. I didn't have to put bad feelings or what if I don't get it or stress or anything. I worked hard to get the dress. I stepped into the energy of I have the dress, and that was that. I was searching the like designer and serial number on Instagram. I DM'd brides like, hey, I really want this wedding dress. Are you selling it by any chance? I found some people sharing that wedding dress on Reddit, which I don't even go on. I literally had to create a Reddit account and I just straight up DM'd these people wearing the dress. And finally, on one bridal website, I found this exact dress. The seller got back to me very soon. Yes, she still had the dress. Yes, she had it in my size. She actually had her size was one size smaller than mine, but I was like, well, I want to lose a few pounds for the wedding anyways. I'm fitting into this dress. This is a blessing in disguise, actually. So yes, the one size lower is perfect. And I was driving from my mom's house to my house, so Maryland to Connecticut, and she lived in New York, and I had to pick up the dress from her apartment. And I'm like, that's so perfect. I'm driving exactly through there anyways tomorrow. Are you free? And she's like, yep, no problem. Here's my address. Come pick up the dress. It was half the price. I felt like that was an amazing deal for what I was getting. Even beyond that, my mom ended up really wanting to treat me to the dress, so she gave me the money for the dress to buy. So it really all just worked out magically. Of course, I found the most perfect alteration person, which I actually have a wild story about her later on. Do you want to sniff one? The third thing I manifested is that all of our vendors were perfect. Again, our whole wedding had to be pushed back from 2020 to 2021. And every single vendor was so kind, so cooperative. Every single person was like, no problem, I'll reserve that date for you. They were all available to come back. Nobody made us pay extra deposits, and then nobody even raised their rates on us for the following year, even though they raised their rates in general, because 2021 was like a huge wedding year, obviously. We are getting married on this farm, like I told you, and we had to find every single vendor ourselves, including a bartender. We found a few people online, but they were very expensive. I just had this guess that everyone was going to be drinking Trulies anyways. And, you know, it doesn't seem that hard to serve Trulies. The end. That being said, we also wanted someone really skilled because I refused to have lines. I was like, we will never have a line of more than one person at our wedding. Because how many weddings have you been to where the line, especially a cocktail hour, is like so long? So again, I really went on the offense. I found this account called like Connecticut Bartenders or something like that on Instagram, and I DM them and I'm like, hi, I am looking for a Connecticut bartender. I feel like you might know some of those people. And that person actually was so kind and so sweet, and they DM'd me back right away. You know, I would actually love to do it myself. I have never bartended for a wedding, but I have all these years of experience. I have served crowds with like one other person of literally thousands, and like there's just not a line. Their fee, because they've never done this before, is really great. This person also potentially wanted to do other weddings in the future, so this was like a kickoff resume experience starter, so this person could go to other weddings. And you know, as an entrepreneur and small business owner myself, I love giving people that experience to be able to do that. They were the most perfect bartenders, so awesome. There were no lines, I'm happy to report. But here's why that's crazy. First of all, I did not find this out till like months after we got married. I was talking to the girl who like did our wedding dress, and she was like, oh my god, do you know what's so crazy? Like, my brother is Andrew. Like, my brother is the bartender who was at your wedding. Isn't that so weird? Like, we were talking about, you know, their life at like a family event. That was like a wild synchronicity that I didn't even know about. One of the places we saved money on, I would say, is Craft Bird, which is a food truck near us. It was one of me and my husband's favorite places to go when we were dating. It would park at our favorite brewery a lot, so we had so many memories, and their food is incredible, so good. We're having an outdoor wedding anyway, and we're like, why not just get this food truck? We'll have them cater. Again, we hate lines, so we are not having people stand in line, but they did cater, and we were like, let's just get them. Who cares about putting on this front about the boiled fish and the steamed carrots, you know, those fancier dinners? It's like, this is fried chicken sandwiches, truffle mac and cheese bites, everything they make is so good. I'm telling you this all 1 year later, and I've had people all year come up to me, including like last weekend I saw my friends, and they're like, oh my god, the truffle mac and cheese bites at your wedding, those were amazing. Like, people still remember the food, and that's exactly what I wanted, to give the guests the best food, not the most fancy food, not the most expensive food, not just the standard food that the hotel you happen to get married at has. And again, if you do that, that's fine. Most people do that. But I'm just trying to give you a different perspective on what was really important to us. Where we splurged that we did not have to was dessert. So my husband and I did not want a traditional wedding cake, and we didn't know what dessert to do really. We were like, okay, we don't really care about the dessert. Nobody remembers the dessert. We're just gonna get something that's decent and call it a day. And then one time we were at a brewery, of course, can you sense the theme here? And they had fresh donuts being made right there. And they were incredible. And more importantly than the literal donuts, which were incredible, like the smell of the donuts just wafted over the place perfectly. Personally, when I drank, I like hate sweet things, but I couldn't not get a donut. I mean, come on. They enhanced our experience at that brewery so much, and we were like, maybe they can do our wedding. So we went up to the guy. He's like, yeah, sure. He gave us his business card. It was like $1,000 to have him there and come set up his donut cart, and he would have about 1,000 donuts. And for a while, we weren't sure whether to do this because one, that was way, way, way more than we were planning on spending. We felt like we could have done desserts for like 100 or 200. Our wedding was about 80 people, so we also did not need 1,000 donuts. But he couldn't do less than that because otherwise it wasn't really worth setting up the cart. People are still telling me to this day, wow, remember the donuts at your wedding? Those were so good. And what we ended up doing was giving out the donuts as party favors. So we just got like dessert bags, like the people at the donut stand helped us put them into bags and then put them all out for the guests to take home. And I think that was a really memorable favor. I'm bringing up these vendors because I truly, truly believe they all worked out perfectly because of what I told you in the beginning of this video, which was my intention was to give the guests the best experience possible. I wanted to do these little things that were slightly different than other weddings that just enhanced guest experience and never took away from it. I wanted every single thing to be like, wow, 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 you know, around the corner, while still having a simple backyard wedding so people felt comfortable, people were having fun, but there were just these little twists that just make the day that much better. I say manifest the vendors because they all accomplished exactly that. They are all so kind to work with, and I truly believe that if I had plan the wedding with the energy of stress and, oh my God, no one's supporting me, that's the end result that I would have gotten from the vendors. Somewhere, somehow, it would have not worked. Maybe it would have been really difficult to re-sign. Maybe they would have jacked up their prices on us or forced us to pay some kind of deposit from the first contract. But every single vendor was so perfect and our guests loved every single one, and I really believe it's because of the intention and love and joy that we put in when hiring them. Fourth thing that I believe I manifested, and this is so important, and this is going to transition into number 5, and manifestation is not, oh, I poofed up this thing here, I poofed up this thing here, now I have a luxury car, now I have a luxury house. It's life just works out. It all snowballs together and works out. And that's why I feel like this wedding is just a perfect micro of the macro. This is a perfect little mini game of the big picture to see, like, wow, look how everything is just interconnected. And I have like chills talking about it now. We were about a month out from the wedding. I was beginning to feel a little bit overwhelmed. Again, I was really careful to keep my energy really great and joyful planning this wedding. But again, the logistics are hard. There were a lot of moments of like, oh my God, how can this possibly work out? And it's just a lot of steps. I had like pages and pages of like things to do, because even little things like make sure to pack tape. Every little thing had to be like planned out by us. And sometimes it got a little overwhelming and we had a lot of moving parts, and I realized, you know, on my wedding day, my whole plan is to plan a lot now. So on my day, I get to surrender and just have fun. And if things don't work out the way I planned them, it's totally okay, because other things will work out and it's gonna be awesome. I did not want to be contacted on my wedding day. I desired to have full support of everyone around me, and I desired to just not have to stress about stuff on my wedding day. On my wedding day, I wanted to step into the energy of fun, relaxation, support. I am the bride and things get to work out for me. Not from a bridezilla energy, but just from, woo, I put in a ton of effort to this day, let's enjoy, baby. There's a day about a month out, all the tasks were like piling up that I had to do. I was like, oh man, should we hire a wedding coordinator? Like, I really kind of want someone on that day to be able to organize everything. And I literally asked the universe, and I was like, universe, can you help me? And literally the next day, I got a text from our bartender, and he'd said, do you have someone coordinating on your wedding day? And I felt stress because I thought he was asking us that because we were pretty clearly unplanned with alcohol. Like, every single question he asked, I'm like, I don't know, what's your opinion? He was gonna say like, you should really find someone. So I just replied, no. I just said the answer. And then he replied this whole thing back, and he was like, you know, my girlfriend actually really wants to get into wedding planning. She has been an event planner for a really long time. She was going to be the other person coming with me to bartend anyways. She's an incredible event planner. She's never done it professionally or for a wedding, but she's planned, you know, name some events, and I could definitely set you guys up if you wanted to talk to her. And I was just like, yep, yep, sign me up. She ended up being perfect. Thank you, Taylor. Taylor plus the weather were the two best things I manifested. I could not have done that wedding without this girl coordinating, and she just randomly popped into my life right after I asked, with this bartender who has all these connections, and it's so crazy how we're all just so interconnected. And she was so wonderful. We ended up giving her like this massive tip because we are just so thankful for all of her work. She truly saved the day. She made the decorations better than I ever could have done by myself, and she really saved the day from so many problems behind the scenes. I'm so thankful that the universe always gives you exactly what you ask for. Ask and you shall receive. I'm gonna say one thing I manifested that went wrong and why I believe it was absolutely divine. So like 2 days before our wedding, we were at the venue, and the guy who like was helping us coordinate this event from the farm was like, oh, by the way, you have to all leave at 8 p.m. And we're like, we're not leaving at 8 p.m. What are you talking about? And prior to this, he had warned us multiple times that the neighbors didn't really like noise. They were kind of annoying neighbors and they've had problems at other events. The noise ordinance for the town was 10 p.m. So he's like, well, you'll have to be out by 10 p.m. For us, that was like a little earlier than we wanted, but we were like, okay, you know, everything else about this venue is exactly what we want. We'll figure something out after 10 p.m. They did offer us the inside for after 10 p.m. We could stay there as long as we wanted. So that was totally fine. In the contract, he wrote 9 p.m. You guys have to be out at 9 p.m. And initially, as we're going through, I just kind of ignored it because I was like, well, he said the noise ordinance for the town is 10, so that's all they can really hold us to. But then I was like, no, you know what? Can we just change that? I know it's petty, but you've been telling us 10 p.m. this whole time, and it says 9 here. And he's like, oh, it just means to like start quieting down at 9, like ramping down the music. And he had mentioned that before, and I'm like, I understand, but let's just put 10 p.m. in the contract. And thank God I did that. And so we put 10 p.m. in the contract. 2 days before, he's like, you guys have to be out by like 8 p.m. And we're like, we're not leaving at 8 p.m. It's our wedding. Like, we planned dinner for like 7. Like, we can't kick everyone out at 8 p.m. And he's like, well, you know, the town, and he explained some drama with the neighbors. And we're like, I understand, but we can't do that. So I talked to my wedding coordinator, Taylor. Again, she saved the day. And I'm like, the guy's saying this. And she's like, no, they literally can't kick you out before the noise ordinance. Like, the cops could potentially come if someone called, but they can't do anything. So you guys will be fine. I triple checked with the town to make sure this was the case. Everything was above board. I talked to our vendors, we talked to the DJ, and we're like, we have to be out by 10, but we do not have to be out before that. But of course, on that day and on our wedding, what ended up happening, again, I surrendered to the day. I absolutely surrendered to the day. I put in a lot of work before, and then on the day I surrendered to fun and joy and just being happy with whatever came my way. And that's exactly what happened. I had the best fucking day. It was so magical, so perfect, so chill, but fun and awesome. The wedding ended at 10 p.m. People were on the dance floor till the last minute. At 10, we all went inside and we hung out in like this after party area. The buses weren't coming till 11, and we thought there was music in there, but there wasn't. So this was something else that went wrong, but it ended up being fun. Like, people got to talk and hang out and sit with people they weren't sitting with all day. We had a sing along inside. We just all started like singing. It was actually a really fun and like unique memory, I would say. Then we all went to the hotel after party and we stayed up for like hours and hours. Like, it ended up being a super great night. So the next day I'm just like, what an awesome wedding, right? So glad that went off without any scandal. But of course that was not really the case. But because I surrendered to the energy of, I'm planning this and then I'm letting whatever happens happens, and other people can take care of my problems, but I just want to have fun that day. That's what I got. Later, I found out behind the scenes, the guy running the farm had been running around telling the DJ, you have to pack it up by 8 p.m. He told the wedding coordinator, and she's like, that's not true. She got my dad's girlfriend involved. It's like, I'm a contract lawyer, which wasn't totally true. Let me see your contract. Let me see what you're talking about. It says 10 p.m. right here. And when I heard that, I'm like, oh, thank God I changed that. They ended up really fighting the battles behind the scenes, and they all stood their ground, and I'm so thankful. And I'm so thankful that we were able to stay till 10. Obviously, I would never want to be disrespectful or rude to people who are hosting us or our neighbors who are just happen to be innocent bystanders, but we were well within our rights, and our party wasn't even loud. It was just like they have a really big farm, and the DJ was really localized to the pavilion. So we weren't being excessively rowdy or anything like that. So everything went perfectly. But I wanted to share the story of things that went wrong, and they really handled this for like hours. I kind of just shortened it, but they handled this for a long time. And if we had been kicked out at 8, that would have been probably not ideal, but it worked out ideal, so we don't have to worry about the other options. And I'm saying this to you because things did go wrong. Things were not perfect, but 1, I desired support and I got it. 2, I desired to have the energy of, I get to be carefree on this day, and I got it, and everything got to work out exactly the best way possible. And even if things go wrong, that's okay. It adds more to the story. If things go wrong, that's okay, because they will work out in the end. If things go wrong, it is simply a lesson to learn. And one lesson that I really learned here, and this is what's important, is I teach all my clients the first 2 things when manifesting. I have my sleep method for manifesting. It's 5 steps. The first one is surrender. So surrender and trust. Surrender and trust. And those are the 2 top things that I made sure to do with my energy on the day. I just surrendered to what the day had and I trusted. And I want to bring this up because trust, especially trusting other people with tasks, is really hard for me. It's really hard. And I've had trouble like trusting people. I don't know. I'm just not even as like a kid, like I don't know. I never fully trust people. And I felt like this was a lesson that the universe was showing me, like when you trust other people to handle your problems, it all works out. When you trust me, like universe, God, source, whatever, to handle your problems, it all works out. You get to put trust in other people and it all works out fine. When you find the right people who you have that, bond with, and you just trust that they'll do the job, they will. And you get to trust, you get to relax. You don't have to handle everything on your shoulders. By surrendering to the day, trusting it'll work out, it is. And this is a lesson for you to learn. And I've carried this lesson with me throughout everything else that I've manifested in my business, in my life. So I think the things that go wrong are the things that teach us the biggest lessons. The 6th thing that I manifested is the most important thing, which is my husband. I want to tell you guys like how we met. I'll keep it pretty short because I feel like this could be its own whole video, and I know we've been here for a while. I met my husband. I know he was manifested because in college I had like a really hard breakup. It was so devastating for me. I was like hysterical every day. I really had a hard time getting over my ex. I moved away from college and I started my new job. I had like a chip on my shoulder and I was like, universe, I'm never dating. I'm so over guys. Like I'll never meet anyone who I care about as much as I cared about my ex. So the only person I would date is this. And like out of anger, I like wrote down this whole list of everything I would find ideal in like a partner. And I wrote down everything I would find ideal in a partner. Looks, personality, just overall vibe. I didn't even know anyone in my real life who covered like 50% of these things. Like I wasn't even sure this person existed, especially because I was so dejected about dating. I was like, ugh. Of course, when I met my husband, he checked off every single box. And I know I manifested him because I had this list. I had my desires written down. I only wanted this or something better. I refused to settle. I refused to be with people that did not match these standards. I had my standards here. I was getting those or nothing. I didn't care. I'm like, I'll be single forever. I'll be happy with that. I had no desperate energy. I had no needy energy. I wasn't swimming in lack. I just said, I want this. I will get it, or I'm fine as it is. This or something better. And that's what I got. And that is how we met. And I feel like our whole dating journey, we've grown so much together. And this is the opposite of how I feel like other couples are, but I feel like when we first started dating, we had a lot of fights like in the beginning because we both were immature, I would say. We both handled fights really immaturely, and we just grew together. We grew to understand and communicate better. We truly just learned like one thing that was really hard for me that I escalated fights was when my husband gets upset, he likes space and silence. And that was so hard because I'm like, we have to talk about every single detail like right now. Like we have to talk it out so we can get over the fight and learn from it. And then we never have to have the fight again. Where he just wanted to be silent, forget it ever happened till he's not mad anymore, and then like just move on. And I'm like, no. But of course, there's a middle ground here. So I really learned to bite my tongue sometimes, to not invade his space when he's in such an angry spot that we can't possibly have a productive conversation. I learned to step away and trust that he's going to apologize, or even if he's not ready to apologize, at least be in a space more open to talk about the issues so we can both say our feelings. And he learned to do the opposite. He learned, take your space. Get unmad, but communication helps me so much. So if he just sucks it up, and if I can suck it up and give him a space, then when he's ready, he can suck it up for a little, have this conversation to help me feel heard and more comfortable, and he can say his side from a place of not anger, and then we grow together and communicate. And at the beginning, we'd have a lot of fights that started off just like stupid, but like escalated just because both of us had different fighting like styles. And now I like can't even remember the last like big fight like we had, like literally probably pre-wedding. I don't even remember. Like we don't even fight anymore because it just never gets to that point. If we disagree about something, we might like have a little like back and forth, but then we both understand how to communicate with each other so much better that we just move on. I recently had a past life regression, which I'll make a video on that, but basically she told me that me and my husband are here to support each other in our dreams. And I truly just feel like I manifested the perfect partner. When I was doing wedding research, I read all these horror stories about husbands, just everything, not helping planning at all, not doing anything. And my husband really planned more than I did in some ways. Like he really handled the logistics. He handled the hotel people, the tent people, the things that I had no interest in, like the transportation of the school bus, what times they needed to be there. Like he really handled so many logistics, and he's a planner, he's on top of things. And that's why it really just showed me leading up that we are like the perfect complement to each other. It's been the best year by far of any relationship I've ever been in, and marriage really is different. He really showed up as a husband. Like he really changed after we got married and showed up even bigger and better than he ever was before. And we have been so much stronger. And I'm not just saying that for this video. Like I truly feel so grateful. I tell all my friends and family, like it is different. Marriage is different and for the better. And you know, it's something we both really work towards. And I'm just really thankful to have him in my life. I could talk about every little detail. If you have questions about wedding planning, manifesting things for a wedding, manifesting in general, just comment below and I would be happy to answer. You can also sign up for my texting. If you go into like the caption, you can hop on my texting list. It's literally me, so text me anything that comes up for you. I love you and appreciate you. But the last thing I manifested is just the overall day. It was just perfect. I wanted to say this last to kind of wrap up from the beginning, which is just the energy with which you do everything is the energy with which you get back. It is literally karma. It is the law of attraction. You just get what you put in. And I really desired a perfect day for all of our guests, and that is what we got. People loved our wedding. People had so much fun. Obviously, people say the good stuff to your face, but I truly believe it because people still come up to us 1 year later and talk about all the stuff they loved. A key to manifestation, which is it's not just about you poofing up stuff selfishly for you. One of the best ways you can manifest is when you do things for other people. And I believe that the wedding went so well because a huge intention every day I would go back to, I just want our guests to have a really fun experience. I want our guests to have the most fun that they've had in a while. It was right after COVID. This was the first event people were coming back to. People were making so much effort to be with us, and I just really wanted it to be everything they were hoping for. And so a lot of my manifesting was for other people. I didn't care about my dress because at first, I didn't care about my dress until I did, but I didn't care about my dress because it had no effect on the guests. It didn't matter. I was late to finding an alteration person because nobody cares about the alterations on my dress. I spent the most time on figuring out the logistics of food, having no lines, having people always entertained because I just wanted them to have the best experience. So every day I was like, how can I give more to my friends and family? How can I give to them? How can I give to them? How can I give them the best experience? And that's why that's the main reason I believed everything truly worked out. It was about me. It was about my husband. It was about our love, but exactly, it's about celebrating love, and we can all do that no matter where we're at in life. If people were coming to celebrate us, I wanted to give them everything they were hoping for, and I truly believe that desire to make other people's lives better is the key to manifestation. It is not that you're the center of it and all your desires are selfish, and they can be selfish. You can have desires like, I really wanted to look beautiful in my dress. I wanted to, have the most beautiful dress. I wanted perfect hair and makeup. That's for me. That's because I felt really confident and glowing that way. And you can have desires that are more selfish, but you can also have desires that at the end of the day, knowing that you can be happy even if you got a little smudge of makeup, or even if you sweat and your hair gets a little bit more frizzy, you can still have an amazing day, build amazing connections with friends and family. You can still do stuff for other people and have them return the favor for you. You can still be the best person possible. And I'm not saying throwing a wedding makes you the best person possible, but I am saying caring about other people in whatever form you're doing is so important. That's why I believe, being rooted in business and service is what will always make my business fulfilling, and I will never ever give up. Stop teaching people about manifestation and law of attraction and consciousness and the science of spirituality, because I know how much they've transformed my life, and I want to give that gift to as many people as possible. I want to transform your life as much as possible. So thanks for being here. If you have questions on wedding planning, manifestation, definitely reach out. I would love to chat with you.